Well, yeah, I think it is a bit of a disruption. Clearly, you're trying to strike a bit of momentum with your pre-season and continually trying to build your loads to sit on your hands for a week is not ideal. But these are the challenges we face, especially in this world we live in at the moment. So I feel like our players adapted really well. All the staff around the footy club jumped into action really well to make sure our players were well set up for when we came out of lockdown, and just really grateful that all West Australians have done the right thing and we're able to get back to normal, hopefully, in another 7 or 9 days or whatever it is. So, we're very, very fortunate to be able to go back training today and get a full team session in.
How did you handle the week? Did you have a few meetings and stuff like that, or just sort of send them away and let them sort of...
No. Tried to maintain as much contact as we could. Tried to give them as much footy content and keep their minds active as much as we could. And resort back to the old WebEx and Zoom meetings like we were last year, and try and strike a balance between not annoying them too much, but making sure that their mind's still on the job.
And this first session back now, is straight back into full intensity, or do you sort of ease it back? How do you do that?
No, we'll go back to doing a pretty big session. We've got footy content we need to hit today, but also need to keep building them physically for round one. I mean, games are going back to normal game time this year, so we need to keep progressing our training loads, and we'll try and pick up where we left off last week.
So Justin, did you fear worse than 1 week? Did you worry at the start of the week this could drag for weeks, and did you consider scenarios like moving the squad to the country, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, naturally, when you go into lockdown, you don't know what the numbers are going to be like every day. So, we had a lot of contingencies in place, from best case scenario, which I feel like we've almost got, to worst case scenario. And we're moving to the regional area was one of those scenarios. The other thing you can do in situations like this is you can plan a lot without knowing the detail, and a lot of that can be wasted time as well. So tried to strike the balance without putting too much fear into our players, and make sure that we planned around a lot of different scenarios.
And how does it make you feel about the season ahead? Obviously, it seems our government seems to be the strictest in the country, as we've seen again. Do you have any worry about your 11 home games and whether you could be jeopardised there?
I don't. Like we've seen this week, things can change really quickly, and like we saw all last week, last year. Sorry, they can. We will need to adjust to what the governments and what the whole situation's telling us. We've got a government who puts out the health and safety of its people first, and we respect that, and we'll adjust accordingly. I think as a footy club, we need to be really flexible and approach every challenge as it comes. And I thought we did that last year, and we'll do that again this year if it needed to be.
Have a date locked in yet for your derby with West Coast in pre-season?
Hopefully it'll be in a couple of weeks. We're still in negotiations as to when the best time that'll be to lock in a pure date, but hopefully it'll be in a couple of weeks, as last week shouldn't have disrupted us too much, but there is other options, but hopefully it'll be in a couple of weeks.
How important are those pre-season games and losing them and working towards that game? Are you looking at the pre-season game as the focus, or I know round one is obviously the most important thing, but how do you sort of go day by day, week by week?
Yeah, well, it's about getting to round one as fit as we can be and as knowledgeable we can be on the game plan. That's the goal, and we'll use the pre-season games to help us get to that, and they'll be stepping stones. So how our first intra-club looks will be slightly different now that we've had a week off. How the how the scratch match goes with West Coast will look slightly different, and try and get a really good hit out in our pre-season game, our broadcasted game, and then hopefully use them all as stepping stones to round one.
How did you feel about the last match?
I thought we took a really good step forward, and that was probably the most disappointing thing about having to go into lockdown. I felt like we're starting to get good momentum. We're starting to get good progression in our match sim, and hopefully we can pick up where we left off. Yeah, and that's probably always the most positive thing about pre-season intra-clubs against each other, is that you get some good work into the players and push them to their limits without pushing them over. So, we'll hope, touch wood, we can continue to get through injury-free. Yeah, they're going really well, and I think they're progressing really well. Alex, we've probably had to put his stepping stones in to match him a little bit slower than Joel because he's missed so much footy, but feel like he's starting to hit the mark now, and he's joined in 18 and 18 last Friday, and he'll join in again today, and we'll keep ramping him up.
It's like you got lots of magnets in your back line. How's that going, working out a preferred sort of back 6 or 7?
Not worrying about it too much at the moment, to be honest. We've got a lot of footy ahead of us before round 1, and these things have a habit of working themselves out. So whoever's in best form will get their magnet put on the board, and I'm sure it'll look like a good backline when we come to round 1.
Sean Darcy, when you expecting to have him play?
We expect him to play some games in the pre-season. So we're hoping he'll be ready for a game against Adelaide. That'll give him a couple of weeks leading into leading into round 1. So pretty confident he'll be there.
Managing differently now, almost like unfortunate that the endurance we're seeing there for the injuries change the preparation to bring during the week.
Every player gets managed, and that's literally the case. Every player has their own personal programs. His will get adjusted accordingly. We're really confident that this is just a little mishap, and he can return to being the durable player he was at the end of last year, and play a lot of footy for us. Yeah, tracking really well. He'll do some match sim today, probably do about a half of it, which is a great progression for him. And we'll continue to build him. He's looking really positive for round 1.
And Griffin Lloyd was one I noticed a couple of weeks ago in the rehab work today.
Yeah, he's tracking well. He'll do some training today, and he'll build much like some of the others. Yeah. He had a little hammy, which he did probably about 3 weeks ago now. So it was probably more precautionary than any. He's had a bit of history with injury, so just look to get a bit more load into him, build him up, and he's right to go now.
Sam Sturt?
Sturdy, he's still progressing from that ankle injury at the end of last year. It's been a really slow build. He's it's been a little bit slower than we would have liked, and he would have liked, and he's probably going to be pushing it for round 1 at this stage. But he's back running on the grass now. He'll look to build into some sort of training over the next couple of weeks, and we'll ramp him up as quick as we can. But on the flip side, we've got to make sure he's durable, and when he comes back, he's ready to go, but also resilient enough to be able to withstand a whole season. We're really excited about what he can do, but we just got to make sure we're really careful with him.
Just on Liam Henry, I think you mentioned at one point last year, his last game in 2019 was a school game. His next game was an AFL game. He sort of missed the waffle stage. Are you considering a block of waffle for him to play against men early this season, or on the back of his summer, are you confident of him in Australia?
Well, time will tell how he performs in the pre-season, but every indication I've got at the moment is that he's ready to play AFL. He's leading a lot of our running. He's improved his fitness out of sight. He's got that up to definitely an AFL level now. He just needs to be able to put it all together and impact in his role.
And he looks a bit bigger and stronger physically as well.
Yeah, no, it was a big goal of last year, especially his lower body strength. He had knee issues coming into the club, and a large part of that was to get his lower body strength to a point where made him more resilient, and he's done that. Worked really hard over the off season on his fitness, and came back in unbelievable shape. So he's put his hand up for some game time.
Just one more on the lockdown. During the week, obviously clubs around the rest of the country train as normal. Did you feel with a bit of a double standard given you guys had to shut down when the shoe was on the other foot last year?
Not really. I think all our communication was with the AFL was that if it dragged on any more than a week, they would come back into line with what WA was. But we probably saw it, both West Australian clubs probably saw it as us taking one for the team at the moment. Brisbane went through it earlier in the pre-season where they just had to be in lockdown and every other team trained. So I think the AFL handled it really well, and we're ready to shift if our lockdown dragged out any further. But we're fortunate enough now to be able to train, and all AFL clubs should be right to go.
Just last one, just looking at Stephen Hill. Is he in the rehab group at the moment?
Yeah, he is. Yep. He had a little issue with his calf, a little bit of tightness through there. Haven't not seen eyes on him for the last week. and given his history, we're just going to ease him back into training. He should be fine to go by the end of the week, but sitting around home all week doesn't make sense to throw him into training. So we'll just take it easy with him.
You were doing pretty full-on sort of match sim today.
Yeah, we'll like I said, we're going to ramp it up, try and pick it up where we left off last week. We've got very little time to waste, so it'd be pretty much match sim only today. So that's probably the main reason why he's over on the sidelines.